G'day Pittsburgh Steelers fans, Matty P here with another episode of Steelers Touching Under. It's been a couple of days, apologies, it's been pretty crazy in my world. All will come to light on our next Steelers Touching Under live show. I'll share more about what's been going on in my world. But you want to hear about me, you'll hear about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers continue their training camp. It's been a great first week of training camp so far, by all accounts. We've seen a bit of Justin Fields. We've seen good things out of Pat Freiermuth, good things out of Deshaun Elliott and Dante Jackson, the two DBs the Steelers brought in. You've heard some good things about Queen. You've heard some great things about Peyton Wilson as well, the rookie linebacker out at NC State. So that stuff's looking all really, really good from a defensive perspective. Pat Freiermuth's working well. Roman Wilson's working well. We're hearing more about the offense. Najee's looking a lot slimmer and faster. You've heard a little bit about Coletto, the fullback, as well. So the Steelers are looking up on all things training camp. There's a lot of Steelers channels doing a lot of updates about Steelers training camp and all the different things that are going on. But I want to do something a little bit different. And I didn't write any notes on this. I've got a lot of different thoughts that have mulled around on this. Some extend back to last year. Some are just more this year. And that comes down to the 7 shots. That's right, the 7 shots drill that we hear so much about the Steelers. And I just wonder, I'm not saying that it's trivial. It means something. But I just wonder sometimes if we put too much emphasis on it as fans. Now, put my fan cap on, take my YouTuber hat off, although we always want to give a fan perspective on Steelers Touching Under. We've been starved of football for the best part of 6 months because the Steelers went to the Super Bowl. Of course you want to know what's going on in 7 shots. It's also situational football. Mike Tomlin loves it. Mike Tomlin loves training camp. He called it Kennywood yesterday for him. That's how he describes training camp. That's Kennywood for him. That's what he loves. He's pumped to be here. And 7 shots is situational football. And we hear about the Steelers reference it during the season, how important it is. Big Ben's explained why it's important on the Football and podcast. We've heard it from different players. But I just still wonder if we put a little bit too much in it. I can't help but shake that feeling. Does the offense winning one day and the defense winning one day really matter? Do we really know what's really happening in training camp until the season starts, or even at least the preseason games? Probably not. Does winning 7 shots day in, day out mean something at all? Well, it kind of does. If you're losing, if either the offense or it's the defense, it should definitely not be the defense when you've got the most expensive defense in the league. But if one of the sides of the ball is losing like 9 times out of 10, that is let's call it 12 times out of 14, 2 days, almost 2 days worth of 7 shots. That's a massive problem. However, if it's even, that's a good thing. But right now, with the Steelers' offense of where it's at, with a bit of Wilson, a bit of Fields, you can't sit there and say that the defense winning is a problem for the offense. The defense is the most expensive defense. The defense has some of the top 3 players at their position in a couple of different positions. The defense has had money invested into it this offseason between the trade for Dante Jackson. They restructured his deal. The purchase of Patrick Queen. The addition of Peyton Wilson. The purchase of Deshaun Elliott. They have upgraded the re-signing of Montravius Adams, like purchasing of Dean Larry. Like, obviously, he's on the pup list right now. We can talk about several positions, but I want to the big guys there. The defense should be winning out most days, unless there's particular odds or situations where they're being stacked against them. That probably makes a lot of sense. I'm probably not saying anything controversial here. There are a lot of people out there that would be wishing that the offense would do a bit better. That might give them more confidence in where the offense is heading, where Arthur Smith's going. But I just see a lot of reports about the Steelers. It was 5-2 here, or it was 3-4 there, and people going nuts on social media about it. But when push comes to shove, when they're 3rd and long, or they've forced a 3rd and long, and it's week 10 of the season, and it's or let's call it week 12-13, it's AFC North rival game, division game. Does what they did in 7 shots really matter? I'm not disputing the power of situational football at training. I mean, in years, I remember my own sporting career, in years when I had coaches where at training, at our practices, the majority of what we did was just simulate games and simulate scenarios I had one basketball practice a week where all we did was just play games constantly. We're the fittest team in the comp. We knew each other left, right, and center. We could do behind the back stuff. We could do like obviously not NBA level tricks. We could do some pretty cool tricks and stuff that other teams was really surprised. It was almost like playing what we call backyard here in Australia, but street ball. And people were really surprised, but it was because we were so in tune with each other. So I totally get situation. I the same when I played, rugby and several other sports. I love situational training. I absolutely do. I think that's huge. But I don't think we can, as fans, really discern how well the Arthur Smith offense is progressing with this team, or how much this defense is gelling purely based on the 7 shots. And I'm not saying it's the fans that go out there and push that. I think most of the fan base, particularly if you listen to Steelers Touching Under, you're incredibly attuned. You're not that kind of person. But, you might hear it when you're talking about the Steelers with your own sort of other super fans. You might see it on messaging boards and forums, whether it's like a Reddit or a YouTube comment thread or something like that. You're going to see it from a lot of other beat writers. They all focus on this. Any of the big Steelers Instagram accounts, the outside of the official one, they're all covering this. Like I constantly see 7 shots, 7 shots, 7 shots. I'm like, oh my God, I've had enough of the 7 shots. But I haven't, because I love it. And I love that Mike Tomlin does it. And I love the concept of what it provides. But I think people get a little, as I say, I think they'll get a little bit lost in the concept of 7 shots and what it delivers. But I just said there, like, do they need to do it? Maybe they don't need to do it as much. Maybe you might think they need to do it more. Does it, as I said just before, does it really tell us much about the defense and the offense? I think it's more important for the offense to try and even the score against the defense. I say that because they are learning the Arthur Smith offense. I say that because the Steelers' red zone offense has been atrocious the last few years. It's really done nothing. And the Steelers' touchdowns, I talked about this in the Steelers Global Perspective show with Shannon on one thing that they need to fix on offense. And the thing I said was scoring touchdowns. And that's the concept of what 7 shots delivers. The other thing I do really like as a pro with 7 shots is the opportunity it gives young players and rookies to be in game-defining situations. Now, obviously, they're not playing in a game, and obviously my criticism of it is that it doesn't matter come down the stretch. But it puts them into a pressure situation where they've got to make a play. And we saw this with Roman Wilson. I think it was either the first day of camp, I think it was, where he wasn't able to get the touchdown because he only had like 1 foot down. Maybe that was the end of mandatory minicamp. Anyway, regardless, we've seen it when they've tried the 7 shots. And so for him, he learns, okay, I need to get the 2 feet down. We saw the same thing last year with Pickens a lot of the time where there were certain plays and there was just some timing sort of stuff. Without 7 shots, you're not Big Ben throwing into San Antonio Holmes in the corner to win a Super Bowl. Without 7 shots, you're not passing into AB to win in Christmas Day game. These are why those sorts of things are important. But it's not 7 shots on its own. It's the concept of situational football. So I kind of it's been sitting on my mind as a fan, as I said. We'll get back to covering all the different things that are happening around player movements, like Josiah Scott was cut, all those sorts of things, as the week rolls on and as the next few weeks roll on, as we head into the first preseason game on August 9th. But I just wanted to share those thoughts as a fan because I see a lot of beat up on social media. I see a lot of beat up online into just the score of 7 shots. And I just kind of think it's overhyped. I don't think we're necessarily learning. I don't think a lot of people articulate the importance of learning from the experience because ultimately, I don't care if they lose every preseason game as long as they're showing that they're picking up the Arthur Smith offense. They've got a really great defense that maybe missed a coverage assignment or something like that here or there. I don't mind. Go zip and 3 in the preseason. That's what it's there for. It's there to get things right, not be perfect, and then enter the season and get belted, which is exactly what we saw last year from the Steelers. It was funny. Usually there's the saying of like, if you win out in the preseason, you will not win a Super Bowl. You will not go to an AFC or an NFC championship game. And we all got really hyped because the Steelers went out there and won every game of the preseason. And they didn't. And then they went out the first week and got destroyed by the San Francisco 49ers. So that being said, I obviously want them to win every game they play. So go out and win the preseason. Go out and win the season. Go freaking, what would it be? 23-0. That'd be wonderful. but I'm just much more of a realist on that. But anyway, let me know in the comments. Do you think over 7 shots is overhyped, underhyped? Do you think I've sort of hit the fair money on the mark about what we really need to take forward from it? Is it really that big a deal? Are you even surprised that I'm covering this on a show itself? Let me know in the comments. But as always, go Steelers.